right, let's get back to the boys in blue because as you guys are talking about, we're excited for leg 2. Definitely looking forward to the second half, Jazz. I am also. It's a chance to qualify for the CONCACAF Champions Cup, the round of 16. The Union did set themselves up. It would have been so much better if they were up 3-1, of course, versus 3-2. But it's okay because at least they're up. It could be worse. Could definitely be worse.
Definitely could be worse.
But with that, going up against Saprissa, both teams played this past Saturday. Mm-hmm. One of the biggest differences is that the Philadelphia Union played the exact same guys that played in leg 1 on Saturday. The only change, of course, being Andre Blake, and in that late substitution for Ali Bedoya coming in for Jack McGlynn. Whereas on the other side, Saprissa was going up against the number 6 team in league play, Guanacasteca.
Ooh.
And it was another both teams tied, a 0-0 tie for them, but they had $5. Think of all the things that have 5. Doesn't Subway also have a 5 thing too?
Number 5 will
Wait,
always
$5 foot long is the Subway. And then there's something else that's 5 deal. 5 is an important number, guys. Is the point I'm trying to get to. 5 different guys, JP, that were in the starting lineup. 5 of 11 is nearly half. All you needed was a half of another person. You're nearly at half of your, that was a joke because you can't have half a person. Half of your starting lineup was someone different from the starting 11 against the Philadelphia Union.
I will say, keep in mind, Saprissa is in the middle of their season. However, I still am in agreement with you because, I'm not even asking to have just 5 stars, like just 2. Like, and Bizo and Bueno.
Zemla counting as 1.
Right. Well, obviously you have to go with Zemla because of Andre's injuries, but like, they obviously had to go a little heavier with the rotation because they're in the middle of the season, but that's an important part because of what we're talking about. We have a tough stretch here, and if you're going to win this, you're going to keep going on the CCC play. So it's just an interesting direction to go and with this early on in the season. And I mean, Renee, who's to say we don't see the exact same lineup from Saturday that we will tomorrow? And personally, I think you should go a little more defensively here. I mean,
what changes are you making?
The thing is like, I don't like to play conservative, but you're up essentially because you got 3 goals on the road. So that really puts you in a solid spot. So I'm looking to just draw, like just whatever you can do to just hold on that scoring line. So possibly like first off up top is the tough part because, Ua, who, in the Chicago match did not look great, but Quinn Sullivan set up that goal perfectly for him to just literally let it fall off his foot and go in the back of the net. But you're hoping like situations like that boosts his confidence up right now. And I just think right now it's just a matter of being in game shape, being in game fitness right now. And I think that's going to take a couple matches for him to get there. But like, what about a Chris Donovan? I mean, last year they did a lot of Chris Donovan and Quinn Sullivan as your 2 forwards. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, those back lines were praying because those 2 kids running at you full force.
Right.
It gets very, very, it becomes a long match for you. But like, those are the type of moves that I would probably look at. Maybe, I mean, I wish we had Leon Flock. Like that's perfect spot to put in for Jack McGlynn, but we'll see what you're going to go with there. Maybe Bueno on that right-hand side. So I think that this lineup has to be more defensive oriented here.
Okay.
But I would like to see some type of rotation. I don't know how much I'm going to see though.
Yeah, don't be a betting man on that one. Oh, and Jazz, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. You being the second half of the game. You're tuning in after 45. I get that now. Listen, I think here's some changes you can make. It is tough to change your back line. And Jack Elliott specifically, it's been about waiting till he gets to 100%. Damian Lowe and Jacob Gladson are at 100%. So there's no need to force Jack to come back.
Yeah.
If he is at 100%, and of course with them having played on Saturday and another game on Tuesday, I don't think that they've had enough time. They probably maybe put him through Sunday. They maybe put him through like some sort of a fitness thing or something that just mimics a game. And then maybe Monday today, as we're having this conversation, that he went through something a little bit more higher, like high intensity, but they don't really have time to see if he's game ready, essentially, because you don't have a whole week. You only have a couple of days. So I don't think we're going to see Jack Elliott. It would be nice if he was healthy.
I will say this.
If he's not healthy, I don't think we're going to see him because why would you rush him back?
Jim did say in today's presser he will have some type of role here. So I'm what I'm about to say, I think Renee's not going to like. But Renee, what do we see a 3-back set tomorrow night? You're trying to rotate. You're trying to put your best players out there still. You're having more of a defensive-oriented type of lineup, putting your 3 really good center backs.
Well,
Might
I
be an
did miss
option.
the presser because I was on the Philly show, and Jim
Great show,
was
by the way.
talking about, thank you. Jim was talking about Jack's status. So he seems like he is 100% ready.
He seems to think Jack will have some type of role on Saturday. What role
like as
that
a coach,
will be?
he's a cheerleader, like as a player.
Water
like what
boy.
kind of role? Is he the water boy? Like what kind of role is he throwing out towels to everybody? You know, what is the role here?
So I'm just saying, like, what if we did see a 3-back set? Now, Saprissa, because of rotation, I'm assuming they did run a 3-back set on Saturday in their match. But we'll see if they go back. They run like the 4-2-3-1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, you keep an eye out for Mariano Torres again here, who also got some rest there. But in general, like last 2 matches, if you just play with high intensity for all 90 minutes, like you're talking about a 3-1 win on Tuesday. You're talking about possibly a 3-2 win on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think for me, Renee, it's just very simple. This Saprissa's obviously coming here trying to ruin our time. You got to come out there acting like you're down 3-1 and go out there and close out this match.
Yeah. I do think a 3-back could work, especially given the fact that it's such a quick turnaround. If you have a 3-back, you slot Jack Elliott in the back, and now you have Nate, or it could be Mbaizo. You could have Mbaizo or Nate out wide. Of course, Kai on the other side. Then your middies can be, I actually think I would go Jose, Jack, and maybe... You don't want to make too many changes. That's the other thing. Like, I just rattled off like 3 changes off the bat. So I think you got to keep it Jose, Jack, and Quinn. And then up top is Julian and Gazdag.
Okay.
You know, but like see, I would be fine with maybe going, and actually Chicago played more of like a 4-2-3-1 and still were able to find guys wide open in the attack. But that's okay. We're not talking about that anymore. If you were going to like keep a 4-4-2, excuse me, and you slot Quinn Sullivan up top, give Ua a rest. He's coming off the bench. And maybe you slot in Jesus Bueno out wide. That's a simple move that can go a long way. And I think if Jack is ready, he doesn't want to pull off Damian or Jacob. I think that's the tough part. Like that is hard as a coach when you have 3 center backs that are very good. And who do you pull? Because they are both playing well. I do think there were areas that I watched them play, especially Saturday. I'm like, oh, you didn't could have did something differently there. But it's not something that's major where you are having to actively pull one of them off. And so I would be okay with 3-5-2, play more defensive. It's a good point. Keep the same group, and now you bring in Jack Elliott's mix into the lineup, same midfield, and then maybe up top you just throw in Chris Donovan instead of like a Ua. Or no, actually no, because then 3-5-2 would be Gazdag and Karan's up top. And then Jack Elliott bumping in pushes everybody to the same spot.
So here's my concern.
If that makes sense.
When Jim finds something that works, he buries it into the ground.
There's not a lot of, and this is a group that has flexibility and versatility. You don't have to keep it the exact same.
But this lineup has essentially almost scored 7 goals if you count that Gazdag goal on Saturday. But like 6 goals in 2 matches, obviously something's working. So I just see Jim rolling with the same lineup here. Especially like I'm with you. I would like to give Ua some rest, but I think the way Jim sees it is I need to keep him out there and get more reps as much as possible.
And let me clarify. I don't think Ua needs rest, as in the sense he's tired. I think Ua needs rest in the sense it's time for a different look.
I do think I want 30 minutes of him in the second half tomorrow night, though. Some fresh Ua. I would like that.
Exactly. I think it's just, I honestly don't feel like, I agree with Jim. I do feel like the guys are more fit than maybe we all expected. But in my opinion, it's just time for something different. It's been 2 games. I'm not saying change it all up, but slot in 2 or 3 guys. Jack Elliott's a tough one because, as we mentioned, center back is a role. You don't want to tamper with that too much. If guys are rolling, you want to keep them rolling. But even that, if the Union are up, let's say the Union go out, take care of business. Instead of trailing 1-0 at halftime, go in at halftime up 1 or 2-0. Now maybe Jack Elliott's coming in the second half to give one of the center backs a spell. They're done for the game. Now maybe you also can pull out, one of your forwards can come off and you can go more, and you'll still have the same intensity. You'll just have fresh legs. So you can also reverse it, and maybe you start the same. They go on and play with the same intensity that we saw in the second half, We saw them create a ton of opportunities, including those 2 that got called back, score, put them away, and then let's just have a nice fun ending.